What up? This is Myron, and you are checking out or listening to the Rye Bread Mustard of Mariners podcast at Down on the Docks on the other side of the tracks, 5-star dive bar podcast about your American League West champion Seattle Mariners, which means, Hanno, going into the ALDS round, absolutely nothing anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but it was nice hearing you say that. It has a nice ring to it.
I'm ready to. It does have a nice ring to it, but like I've said before. I think we said we should get that damn banner up. They should have already put it up. They should have put it up here at that scrimmage. It's time to move on. There's bigger things to conquer. Seattle Mariners have not been back to the ALCS. If you haven't paid attention since the 2001 season, but we're looking forward here. We've got an opponent. We got some start times. How's the week been for you here? The bye week, just as a fan, just as somebody that's really analyzing the series coming up.
The best. No nerves, no anxiety, no sitting on the couch, going pitch by pitch, just praying that someone gets a hit or throws a strike. I mean, it's been great, but that all changed Saturday.
Yeah. Or sending texts maybe that you'll regret later. Like the season's over. I don't know. I got about a half dozen thousand here from Big Vlad, who honestly he chipped in for you or stepped in for you last episode, and the tone of the show kind of got hijacked here. Just actually, I do want to. We will get into the series, okay? But still, there's the dumper Aaron Judge debate going on for AL MVP. So I know certain Mariner fans definitely wanted the Yankees to be out of this. I'm the one that wants to, stick the dagger in them. But I just in case you didn't see, I'm going to roll this.
When we've been talking up and down, you guys needing an impact bat, it was sitting here this whole time. Somebody had to say, "Hey, Cal, here's a torpedo bat. Welcome." This is the truth. If Judge used a torpedo bat, they would bring it up on every, they would never, anything that happened when the Yankees do something, everybody's allowed to do this shit. We put torpedo bats on the map in game 2 of the season, and it was the talk of baseball for a month.
Should it be legal? No. Is it cheating? Yeah, it is.
Now, Raleigh hit 60 home runs with one, and nobody even mentions it.
Well, only for the left side.
Judge used the torpedo bat. They would be using every undercutting way they could. All these turncoats on MLB, DeRosa, who I love, all these guys, it would be worked into their argument.
Maybe, but also you have the choice. Julio tried it out and was like, that's not for me. Some people have these different handles, but I guess the argument you're making is if he did anything different like that, they would be all over it. You feel like it's just went underneath the rug with Cal Raleigh. We've ignored the fact that he's using a torpedo bat. All right, so there you have it, Hanno. I've got to say, I'm the one that picks a lot of the programming, or all of it, and I'm the one that picks what goes out on social media. Put that one out. Not a very popular one on a Mariners podcast. We got lots of comments, lots of back and forth as far as a post to go check out, to go get your debate in there. You want to troll some Yankee fans, just head on over to our Instagram page and just go hit those comments. But I know you're not on Instagram, so what is your comment about that?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have left the show having to listen to that BS, that Vlad, the Yankee fan. But I mean, I just can't wait for another, the Blue Jays just to run wild like the Red Sox went after Judge and, singles hit to right field, and they went for 2 because he's got a bad arm right now. So, I mean, maybe Cal Raleigh can lend him his good right arm so he can throw in there. I don't know. But as far as the bat goes, you still got to see it and hit it. So, I mean, of course, I don't like that video. I'm not happy with it. But I don't like the Yankees either. So I'm looking forward to our friends from the North pounding their ass. I don't want to see them anymore in this series. I really enjoyed after game 1 of this series, the Boston-New York series, those pussy-looking, sad-faced Yankee fans crying online saying their season's over and blah, 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 blah. it was a beautiful thing. It's unfortunate I didn't get to see it again in games 2 and 3, but looking forward to it in this series.
Yeah, Toronto, another team that's had to sit around. I don't know too much about them because we haven't played them in so long. I keep mentioning that. We played them in April and we played them in May. So don't know enough about them, but they seem to play good baseball, obviously steady baseball. Kind of I think they turned things around in the last weekend, but they were, just to hold on to the East when they had to, but they were a team too that kind of started to show some cracks down the stretch. And the team that we're coming up against here, Detroit Tigers, I think we mentioned this on the last show. They were statistically, since they've been letting teams in the postseason for the World Series, going back to 1903, statistically the worst finish for a team that made the playoffs. Now, there'd been worse records to where they've made complete collapses, which I'm sure the Mets own about half a dozen of those. But Detroit Tigers completely floundering. They give up the AL Central to the Cleveland Guardians, who they then won 2 of 3. They advance. I'm hoping that this isn't a situation, and I don't even like putting this out in existence, but I hope it's not a situation like the Texas Rangers from 2023.
Yeah, I mean, like you said in the very opening, nothing matters now. It's a second season, brand new ball game. Yeah, anything can happen. I mean, you can go 3 days with, not getting any hits with runners in scoring position, your pitching being off, and you can be sent packing real easy. But I feel pretty good. I know we talked a little bit, and you were kind of wanting to play Cleveland, and Cleveland's been the favorite for a lot of people wanting to play the worst statistical categories offensively of any team in the playoffs. I was kind of the opposite. I kind of wanted to play Detroit. I didn't, it's hard to say. I guess I would say I was 50-50 on both, but meaning I would want to play Detroit. I just felt like it was a better matchup. Sure, you're going to see Scooble. I think their bullpen is a lot weaker. I didn't think we matched up as well with Cleveland, and they have a lot of lefties that seem to give us some trouble. They were hot at the end. So those are just kind of my thoughts going into it. But now we got our team. Now see if we can go after them here and, win 3 games out of 5.
Yeah, when you talk about Cleveland, they were as hot, if not hotter, than the Mariners. They actually had to play in the last weekend as well. Yeah, you're right on those matchups. Also, there's a lot. I mean, they had a guy making his major league debut. I think I was given a stat by my friend Kathleen Lenart, who is going to come on here tonight. If Cleveland won, has done a lot of like analytics and stuff like that. And she said that there's a stat though she gave me that there's only been 6 players in MLB history to debut in the playoffs.
Wow.
And that's what you were dealing with there. I mean, Cleveland was literally throwing the kitchen sink at them. Just going back to them earlier in the season, let's just think about that, where you had the thing with Class A, the gambling thing. He's gone. They've lost guys. I mean, they were close to really making some big trades. They didn't really happen. People wanted players off of Cleveland. Obviously, they stuck in there, and they finished strong. I wanted to play them just for my video that I cut, really. When I made the prediction of like we're gonna go through Houston, we're gonna get rid of that ghost, we're gonna go back to Cleveland, who knocked us out in the magical year of 1995 that everybody talks about and holds on to it. Just like the movie Major League, you don't know what the next step was or the next chapter was after that, because we kind of omit that. And Cleveland and the emergence of Manny Ramirez and all those guys ended that magical year for us. So that was just, as a fan, I was like, I'd like a little bit of redemption. And of course, I'd like some redemption with the Yankees. But now that we are closer to the Yankees, still got to get through Detroit. I'm a little mixed on what I want out of Toronto and New York, but that we're putting the cart before the horse right now. Let's get back to Mariners talk. I'm going to pull this article up really quickly here. So I'm going to take just a fast break. But before I do, if you have not checked out last episode, go check out last episode. It was with SNL writer Carl Tart. Saturday Night Live premieres this week on Peacock and NBC. And Carl stopped by, talked some Mariner stuff. If you go check it out, you can hear how high he is on Cal Raleigh and the Seattle Mariners. Anyways, here's a little clip. We'll be back, and we're going to talk about Bryan Woo. We'll talk about Bryan Woo.
The moment where that band starts to play the warm-up music, not the theme music, the music that y'all don't hear, when the energy picks up, when the audience is there, when the audience is getting loaded in and the band is playing, when all that stuff happens, it gives you a jolt of energy every week, and you're just like, man, I got to do this. I get to do this. Getting the first sketch on was like getting a single, maybe like a RBI. Getting called to Lauren's office in between dress and air and looking at the board and seeing that your sketch moved up from the 12:50 slot to the first act, that's when it's like, oh, we did something cool. That feels like a home run. That felt like a home run. That was Timothy Chalamet.
The game where you're like, okay, you got a couple of knocks. You got some home runs, maybe hit a grand slam, probably the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah. So the Dave episode was my like, oh, he's a player, and we can like the Dave episode I could get talked about on the local ESPN affiliate the next day. Like that's what that felt like. It's like this guy might actually be adding some value to this.
You ask for the ball, right? If you're a player, give me that ball. I'm taking that home. Do you have the paper copy of that? Did you take something?
I do. I do have that. I got the cue cards from some of the jokes that I have in the sketch.
Oh wow. All right. Again, that's the episode with SNL writer Carl Tart. Go check that out. So another thing that we've been holding on to all week, one was, or I should say the things that we were sitting around Hannah all week and just wondering about. One, who the opponent was going to be. Two, when are these start times? And three, what the hell is going on with Bryan Woo? We got a lot of information today. Bryan Woo had himself a little in the dugout press conference after his bullpen session. Did you check that out, Hannah?
I did.
So are we in agreement just from this and the article? I have it right here. I think it's got some people quite worried. It looks like, and I guess we just have to wrap our minds around it. Probably not going to see Bryan Woo in the ALDS series. If I was a betting person.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I have some different thoughts. First, maybe it's a little gamesmanship by Bryan. I could see him maybe getting a run, maybe game 4 back in Detroit. Yeah, he said a week. It also concerns me he only threw 25 pitches today. But then Dan Wilson came out and said, in a radio interview after that, before this evening, and said, yeah, we're going to check on him and see how he's doing. It's still up in the air this weekend and see how he recovers. So, I mean, you're very possibly right. He could be out for this series. Hard to say. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if he did get a start in Detroit. He's got to really ramp up, and he's really, truly, in my opinion, not going to know what it's like. He can throw as hard as he wants in the bullpen and all these side sessions until he gets out on the mound and and really test it out. That's my opinion, because there's definitely another gear after once you get into the game from a bullpen session, in my opinion. But the concerning thing for me, like I mentioned earlier, is just only throwing 25 pitches today. Sure, he hasn't pitched in a while or thrown, but he was going, near 100 there, full speed, until he got banged up. I mean, now starting at 25, that's starting back at ground zero again. So I don't know how this can play out, but like I said, it's a real possibility, like you mentioned, of him missing this series, but also I could see him, late in the series as well.
Couple things here in this article. If you go check it out on Seattle Times, if you don't have a subscription, you're lucky. You're logging in here. I do. I overpay for it, about maybe a little bit of gamesmanship by Woo or Dan Wilson. Mariners manager said after the team wrapped it second scrimmage Thursday load and roster spot, or if a roster spot will be held for him or not. So we will have some sort of today, by the time this podcast comes out on the podcast side, we will have some sort of answer as far, maybe not a complete answer. If he's on the roster, that means yes, maybe he's there for the end of this series, maybe next Thursday, because that would be a week from today, or no, a week from, yes, when the podcast comes out, a week. So really from his workout, he'd have 8 days in between starts. Obviously they're going to need to know more tomorrow from the recovery. And like you said, the 25 pitches, I'm with you. That's not a lot of pitching. I think if this was a regular season situation and we were in, I don't know, July or August, you'd probably see a 10 to 14 day IL stint, I would assume, just because you'd need somebody obviously to come up and start in that spot. But it does seem like a 2 to 3 week thing, retroactive to when it happened, just normally.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fortunate thing was it wasn't his throwing arm, but, it was his pec that's, part of the whole process and wind up and stuff. So there's some good and bad with it. But, yeah, it's just a total up in the air kind of question right now.
It does say here too that Pete Woodworth did say that 15 of his pitches he thought were, I think he said 15, were about at 90%. It seemed like all of the, if I can get this from the interview, if I can remember correctly, all the braking stuff and the off-speed stuff felt fine. They just never ramped it all the way up to that top velocity, which is an important part of his game, of course. So yeah, that was that's what we know. But I look at Luis Castillo, I look at Gilbert, and I look at Kirby, and they've been throwing the best that they've thrown collectively probably all year in the last 3 starts or so.
Yeah, it's one really nice, fortunate thing this Mariner team has is some depth. And also, like you mentioned, their guys have been at their best here at the right time of the year, at the end of the year, after having kind of a so-so type year compared to expectations. So we are a lucky team because of our depth. It's Detroit's Scooble if he was out in this scenario, and they don't have anybody really to step in with the depth of the Mariners. So it's good and bad. Obviously, Bryan Woo's been our best pitcher this whole year, and we want to see him out there. He's been dominant, and but those 3 pitchers, like you mentioned, I have all the confidence in the world of them. The talk this week is home versus road splits, blah blah blah. Castillo had an absolute stinker there in August, but man, he's really turned it around here in September. I feel confident with him, no matter if it's in Comerica Park, where it's a big ballpark, or here, where his stats say that he's much better. So, feeling good about the team. I feel good about the series.
Yeah, as far as Luis Castillo, look, this is why you got him. 162 is great to have somebody that can shove all year round, but you really got him for the playoffs. Look what he did the last time we were in the playoffs. Sure, that was in 2023. You can make an argument he was a stronger, younger pitcher then, sure. But I feel pretty confident with him. We don't know by the time we're recording this what the rotation is going to be. But I would assume Luis Castillo is going to get a home start, I would think. There's a lot of factors that go into it as well. So got a question for you since we're doing a live show. Is my thing breaking up?
You were cutting just before that. Your audio was in and out a little bit.
Okay. As far as the rest of the team, you would assume. I'll ask you a question and then I'll pop in and pop out, and so maybe it'll redo my thing. As far as the roster construction, we shouldn't probably spend too much time on it because by the time this comes out, it'll be updated. But you would assume they're going to probably have one more position player. Obviously Bryan Woo's health is a big part of who's going to be on this. How do you see them breaking up the 26 man just really quickly? Just because it might not
I just kind of agree with an interview I heard with Ryan Divish. It seems like we'll go with 14 position players and 12 pitchers. So I agree with that. As far as which guys, it's hard to say. I don't feel like we're going to carry 3 catchers like we did earlier in the year, but we might. And he mentioned, too, it could be a surprise where your guy who you were calling out for down the stretch, and I teased you, Samad Taylor might be a guy for the playoffs. I understand that for speed because they're going to go with the Mastrobonis, the Rivas's. Cole hasn't had a great end of his season. He's not as fast as those guys. Those other 2 kind of complement what he can do. So those are just kind of some of the things that he mentioned, and I kind of follow along with that. So if there is any surprises, it could be him possibly making it for some amazing speed at the end. So yeah, I could totally see. I wouldn't be surprised if both Harry Ford and Cole Young weren't on the roster, but I could also see maybe that they were too. I hope I don't see any of those guys. I just want to see our starting 9 go out there and just bludgeon people to death with our bombs and hitting the gap.
Yeah, I think I feel like the way things are going to go, you do need those pinch hitters, but I feel like the only person you're really taking out of the game, unless it's we have to score this game in the 10th or 11th inning, and you have to make that move like that, is I feel like it's probably going to be the DH spot or the second base spot. That would be the rotational spot where you might see some pinch running or pinch hitting. But when I brought that idea to you, and this is when I was up late one night and I'd watched everything on MLB TV that had to do with the Mariners, I moved on to the Rainiers. Shout out to the Tacoma Rainiers. There's their beautiful, one of their hats you can get at the Mariners team store and overpay for.
Your PCL champion, Tacoma
PCL
Rainiers.
champions. Yeah, I know how to put a team over. We got some comments before I get to my thing. We'll get to the comments in a second. We see you. I saw that Samad Taylor had 98 stolen bases or set some record, and I was like, well, if that's all you really need him for a pinch hit, to maybe Mitch Garver gets a walk or a single and he's not your catcher, but then you're like, well, you can't take Mitch Garver out if he's in the lineup, or you can, but you wouldn't have a backup catcher situation, which I don't think you're ever going to need, but you never, knock on wood, last famous words. But yeah, you're just going to have those guys, I think, strictly for that, or maybe a defensive substitution in the 9th inning. We're up 3 runs. Maybe you throw Leo Rivas out at second base for Polanco. I know you don't want to lose that bat because it's been hot, but I think those are the situations that you're going to look at. As far as outfield depth that Samad Taylor plays in the outfield, I wouldn't put him out there over any of those outfielders, obviously. And those guys don't
play second too.
Oh, he does play second
as well.
I've never seen him play second personally that I can remember, but that was good to hear. I guess that would be the one outside chance guy. I think. I do believe that they're going to have Mastroboni on this roster.
Me too. I think so.
Yeah. I think I kind of looked at that as, they just sent him down there. Maybe, of course, they're going to say that was the plan. But yeah, you got to play every single day. Yeah, we'll move on from that because that's something that's going to kind of happen. Let's talk about, I think, the obvious X factor. As I set this up, the obvious X factor. Talk about the pitching. You might point to how the bullpen's going to be because that's going to be huge too. But my feeling is if they hit the ball, we're going to be all right. And that's what I want to talk about. I'm just going to reset this thing one more time so I can hear or hear a little bit better. We'll be back in 1 second. Were you having that problem where people weren't stopping dancing last night and the night
Oh
before?
yeah,
Were
last
you-
night. Yeah, definitely last night and the night before. I actually like got up and was like, "That's it." They're like, "No, MVP." They started chanting. So I played like 5 more songs after I said that was the last song, and then I like just actually got up and started unplugging stuff.
When you're getting the MVP chants, you can't
Yeah.
let your fans down. Have you ever had an MVP chant?
Never. And then even after I stopped, they were still dancing just to themselves, actually. You know, they were just out here. News was out here. But I was packing up. I probably packed up all my stuff around 11:45, and it was still fans and the news stations out here still just interviewing people all up and down Occidental. Yeah, just everybody was still having a good time.
All right, we're back. I think things are better now. Before we get into talking about the Mariners lineup and the offense and maybe how they match up and what the experts say, how the Mariners and the Tigers match up, we'll get to a couple of these comments. We have on Instagram, Kid Baseball 24, the Kingdom in the backdrop is epic. Missed that 99 season. I don't miss that 99 season whatsoever. But thank you for the compliments on this backdrop. Fallen Fire. Honestly, I wanted to see a Padres Mariners World Series that would feed generations. Yeah, and I think a lot of teams in the National League are happy the Padres are out. That's a team that could get it right and pack a punch, especially when you add somebody like Mason Miller in the bullpen there. They couldn't get it done. One of my World Series dreams, as you know, Padres, Mariners, Dodgers, Mariners. Now we're down to the Dodgers, Mariners. And why is that my dream? Because that's the easiest travel for me. Also have from Fallen Fire. If we go to Game 5, who would go in for Woo? Well, if seeing that Game 5 would be 5 days after game, I would assume that'll be interesting if you don't have, I guess it would be your Game 2 starter again. I mean, I don't know. Maybe now Bryce Miller is going to be more in the act if this series ends up going deeper. That's actually a good question. Would you think Bryce Miller? It seems like his role has been, according to him, wherever they need me. We never saw him come out of the bullpen. We've heard a lot of talk about it. Do you think with Bryan Woo's injury, you think possibly he's going to be on like standby for a start here in this series?
Yeah, I think it all depends on how the series goes. As far as how, Game 1's a huge key to the series, obviously. Hopefully the Mariners get off to a good start. I think that plays into it. I just really like the idea. I mean, unfortunately, that Woo's hurt. I like Bryce Miller coming out of the bullpen. I just think he's a perfect gap and bridge guy to, let's say, this. I mean, starters sometimes only go 4 or 5 innings in the playoffs and give you everything they got, and then bridge that to the Bizzardo or whoever, you know what I mean? Or any of our guys, and then there might be a 4-inning bullpen game. So I just like the look of that, him emptying the tank there. But if they do need that 4th starter in Game 4, he's obviously a great candidate. I just feel like Logan would probably be your guy, personally, if he's going to start Game 1 for Game 5.
Yeah, and you never know. Mariners could come out there and the bats could just come alive. T-Mobile Park, we could be seeing what we've been seeing here in the last month to 2 months at T-Mobile Park. And maybe you have a chance where you can get Logan out of there and you do have your relief. And maybe you even have a situation where, he's coming in Game 5 and he's not on empty. Famously, we remember when we had to pitch Randy Johnson, it seemed like every single game in Game 5 and the week before that. I mean, it was insane. But I do want to talk about this lineup of the Tigers and just how it breaks down. On MLB.com, and I'll share this, they basically have a Tigers Mariners position by position breakdown, and they kind of say who's better, who has the advantage. So I'm going to pull that up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, and I'll narrate it for these podcasters. So they have position by position, and as far as who wins, we'll just go through it according to Anthony Castrovinci or Castrovitz. Never heard of him. This is both on the Mariners, MLB.com, and the Tigers. But as far as, let's just start with the DH. They have Carpenter as the advantage over. They have on here Mitch Garver will be our DH. Okay, kind of hard to argue if anybody beats Mitch Garver. Here's an interesting one, but he is a Mariner killer. They say Riley Green has the advantage over Randy Rosarena in left field. I guess that's debatable, right? That'd be, if Riley Green is edging him out, wouldn't that be a very close edge out there, Hanno?
Yeah, I mean, I see where he's coming from, but we got playoffs, Randy, so I'm feeling really good about that. But I see why he chose Riley Green over. Great player, breakout year. So it makes sense.
Yeah, his reasoning for Riley Green here is, it says here that the Mariners left fielder had a 760 OPS and 119 OPS plus with 27 home runs and 32 doubles this season. That's a good season, an all-star season, except, wait a minute, the left fielder, the guy with a 349 average and a 1.13 OPS, 11 home runs, 5 doubles and a triple in 28 post games is going back to the 2020 version, then yes. But Riley Green, who's slugged over 487 in the last 2 seasons in the postseason and also gotten on base with a 330 clip, deserves some love here. Green did not strike out 30% of his plate appearances this season, leading the unusual situation in the wild card series, which AJ Hinch pinch hit for him, though, in one game. I don't think you'd ever see, but AJ Hinch is a tricky guy, but I don't think you'd ever see Randy get pinch hit for. But yeah, it's a close one. And you're right. Randy Rosarena, playoff Randy Rosarena, the guy that has played, what is it, 33 games, 32 of them with Tampa Bay, 1 with St. Louis when he was a rookie. That's a little dinner trivia question for you. Yeah, okay, fine. I think it's a toss-up, but I'm with you. I'd take our Randy over Julio Rodriguez, center field, not even a competition. They do have their right fielder Perez over Victor Robles in our kind of rotational right field. Kind of not hard to argue that. Sure. But as you go to the infield, they have every single infield position here with Mariners having the advantage. Suarez, Crawford, Polanco, and Josh Naylor. And then you go behind the dish, not even worth going over, Cal Raleigh. They do think that the Tigers have a better rotation and starting pitching right now. And that is also with the Woo factor, which I thought was interesting. We'll check that out. They do have the Mariners bullpen as the stronger of the two. As far as the starting pitching, I'll scroll down here and we'll get to it. But starting pitching, primarily because of the issues on the road at the notoriously pitcher-friendly T-Mobile Park. So we don't need to get into all of the numbers and everything from that. Right away, that's a good argument to have. And Tarek Skubal, we're going to see him once, possibly could see him twice. I would assume he's going to pitch. He's going to pitch game 2 and or game 1 and game 5. I would assume you're going to probably see Skubal twice in this series, wouldn't you say? If it goes 5 games.
Yeah. So let's hope we don't see him twice. I think he's scheduled to go for game 2. I could also see them. I don't know his history as far as, starting earlier than his 5 days rest. So wouldn't shock me if he pitched game 1, but yeah, game 2 is kind of the plan, I think, for him to start. With him starting game 1, there's a better chance of him being available then at a longer rest. Obviously, in game 5, it should go that far.
Yeah, I think the Mariners are successful in the series and definitely can win in the series if they're not playing from behind, even though it seems like Seattle has a better bullpen. But as far as not having that problem and just having Scooble out there once, if you take care of business, you're only going to see him once. Sure, they beat him twice in the regular season. That means 0. We've seen that with Verlander. We've seen the Mariners. I remember we took care of Verlander like 2 of the times of the 6 that we faced him in the regular season. And then you get into the playoffs and that's just not the case, or that type of situation I'm talking about, where just because you got to some Cy Young and you feel like you have this code, you don't. They can go Cy Young on you at any point. And I do feel like the Mariners have the pressure on them right now. Just the way they finished. And look, you're going around and checking out social media things, ESPN things, MLB things, and you keep looking at these brackets and you keep seeing the Mariners being picked a lot to be in the World Series or at least the ALCS. You don't see any of I haven't seen anybody say that we're going to have an ALDS knockout. And that's kind of what scares me here, I think, Hanno, as a fan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, playoff baseball is a unique postseason in where the top teams don't always get to the World Series. When we see a couple years ago, Arizona and was it Texas? Is that who you mentioned? I know Arizona, man. Who did they lose to? But yeah, they were like 13th and 7th in baseball record-wise. They weren't even the top, or even lower down than that, something like that. So that doesn't mean squat like you mentioned, but I feel like, yeah, the Mariners have a better team than Detroit on paper, and what I've seen from them. But you still got to go out and execute. You still got to hit, find the strike zone, and not only find the strike zone, you got to pinpoint your pitches. I mean, we've seen the Mariners this year. If they're not pinpointing, they're gonna get hit. So, like I said, though, feel really good about this series.
Just going back on some of their players of interest, the one thing that is scary is about Riley Green is he is a Mariner killer. In the 6 games this season, he's hit .417, has 4 home runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 9 RBIs, and 6 runs scored. Over his career against the Mariners, the 25-year-old has a slash line of 352, 377, 648, and with an OPS of only 1.025. So that is a person of interest if you're like, who should scare you? Another player, I believe, that kills the Mariners is Kerry Carpenter. He's a career 370, 375, 390, 900 slash line with an alarming, it says here, alarming 1.29 OPS. Yes, that alarms me. And that's only in 41 plate appearances. He has 6 homers, double, triple, 14 RBIs, and 15 runs scored against Seattle. And this is when we're talking about these 2 guys, we're not talking about an Anaheim team that you see 12 times a year. You're seeing the Tigers sparingly, and these guys have done it. And like you said,
Yeah, definitely. That's why game 1 is obviously such a key. Get out to a good start, hopefully get the crowd into it. I don't want to see anybody having their damn shoes on their heads late in the game. I just want a nice, easy win.
Yeah. I don't want to see that. I want no mention of this witch. In fact, I'm about to get rid of my mustache. Because I look like shit with it. But I mean, let's get our game faces on. Then this is not my game face. But here's a good thing about this though. Now, when the Mariners did have, I believe their 1 loss against the Detroit this year, I believe. Is it just 1 loss? Or no, they're 4-2. They had 2 losses, I think. Emerson Hancock in one of those games is one of the reasons why he lost. He gave up 6 runs, and that's when he just
series of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one where he couldn't even get out of the first inning. So that's one of those big victories and the big offensive numbers is in that game. You take that game away, come on. And I just go back to that series that the Mariners went in there and swept them, and the way that we just got into those games and played add-on. I mean, one of the games, I think Dumper had a grand slam and a home run in that. I think he had 35 and 36. It seems like, though, that AJ Hinch likes to put Cal Raleigh to the right side as much as possible, and so far this season, Cal's made him pay.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. He did go matchup wise, seeing Cal quite a bit from the right hand side, and that kind of was a smart decision. In years past, well, Cal didn't have quite the power from the right hand side, but that is no longer the case this year, as we know. So it'll be interesting to see how they try to attack him. I felt like him, speaking of Cal now, towards the end of the year, obviously he was going for as many home runs as he could against the Dodgers. He looked a little jumpy up there, but I think he's reeled it back in. At least that last game I watched, he seemed more composed and on balance. So, when Cal gets a little jumpy, that's when he's not at his best. And hearing that he hit some home runs in the inter-squad games, a lot of guys did, our Naylor, Eugenio, that's just music to my ears that these guys are getting back on track.
Julio,
in the inter-squad game. Yeah, Julio, exactly. So I'm excited. I can't wait for Saturday.
Here's another name, though, to watch out for. Gleyber Torres, also somebody that's given the 2025 Mariners a bit of trouble. So that's another person. I mean, let's look, and I'll give you his numbers right here. I just have 5 for 13, 2 doubles. Let's see, Dylan Digler, 6 for 12, 1 double. Javi Baez, 5 for 14, and Trey Sweet, 6 for 18. Yeah, I mean, this is the team that the Mariners have had to bust out the bats on to win these series. And look, that's really the key. That's the X factor, is the offense. I mean, we can talk about the bullpen. We have our up and down feelings about the bullpen. We'll talk about them in a second. But if they just can jump out there and get these leads and keep playing add-on and get these explosive innings that they've had, but they're going to have to convert, if we're using a football term, or they're going to have to come through with the runners in scoring position. If the Mariners can figure that out, like you said, not have to sit around and rely on the long ball, which is going to come, they're going to be a scary team. But the Mariners offense, as good as it is, we've pointed this out all year long, and this is the thing that scares me. They are the best and the worst when it comes to streakiness. Randy Arozarena, you talk about Randy, very streaky hitter. Yes, we're waiting for him to be playoff Randy. And so I want to give you a positive thing. He has taken it to the Detroit Tigers this year. So that's a good thing. So that's something we're going to look out at. Also, when we played them, think about it. Polanco wasn't healthy. This is back. The last time we played them, I think we were still pinch hitting for him on the right side.
Yeah, it was right before the All-Star break. Yeah, and he had an incredible year. Looks great. He's kind of my X factor for this series. If you're not picking your big dogs to come through, the Cals, Julios, and stuff, I'm looking for a big series from Jorge Polanco.
Yeah, and Eugenio Suarez, I keep hearing things from people saying, "Oh, he's a little snake bitten," or this or that. This is where you want him right now as well. He's one of these big moment, big game guys. If you go back to the 2022 campaign when they were in Toronto, he was very productive in the assignment. And I think he was productive in the games that we lost to Houston. I have to get the stat geeks to defute that. But I felt great with him in the playoffs. I did see in the scrimmages, and I think it's just maybe it was for fun or precautionary reasons, I saw him playing over at first base. But I also saw Ichiro play in the outfield. So I don't know what to take from it.
Yeah, I don't know either. Ichiro looked good out there, from what I saw. I just heard that, he's done with hitting. He's older now. His eyes aren't as good. Trust me, Ichiro, I understand. My eyes aren't as good either. So, but he's out there shagging, giving out the no-fly zone to Julio. So they had a good time down there, it looks like, and got some work in.
was gonna say, is there somebody on this roster you'd substitute Ichiro for here in the posting? Hey, wouldn't that be cool if each team when they do the new collective bargaining agreement, when they get to playoffs, you get to bring back one legend, and so like if there's a tie or something, you just have them have a home run derby or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I better not say that. Manfred might hear this and actually put it in his agenda because he seems to put any old thing in there. So, all right, we go to a quick break. I'm going to pull something else up, and then we'll get ourselves out of here. Get everybody so everybody can get some rest. If you got some comments, get them in now because we ain't staying on here all night long. Again, thanks for liking, subscribing. We're not done, but I still want to do this right now. The Rye Bread and Mustard and Mariners podcast. We know this because I got the numbers right here. Most of the people listen to this on the podcast side. So if you're listening to this on the YouTube side, go and check. Or sorry, if you're listening to this on the podcast side, you're late. We do this the night before. You get on here early. Get your messages in. Get your comments. We usually can get them on. Vice versa. If you're a YouTuber, go over to the podcast. Usually sounds a lot better. You don't have to look at our faces. That's a plus. And yeah, let's just be a cohesive unit here. I feel like we have two different audiences going on. But again, thank you for liking and subscribing. As well, I want to give a shout out to, the one place that you want to make your pre and post game here during the playoff run. That's Pioneers Tacos and Tequila, located at 1021 Occidental Avenue South. Also, if you want that rye bread merch like Hanno's wearing, you see it, he's got it right there. He's got his hat on. They got shirts, they got sweatshirts, they got barbecue aprons, we got koozies. You name it, at simply.core has that. That's at simply.core. Hit her up on Etsy or on Instagram. Just hit her with that DM. Or you can hit Rye Bread and Mustard up on the DMs and we can help you out, point you in the right way. And also, you got to visit In the Clutch Apparel, intheclutchapparel.com. Use promo code, all one word, Rye Bread and A&D Mustard. And that will save you some money. It has all your NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, WNBA, PGA, LPGA, whatever they call tennis. They got everything. They got lots of dumper merch. So if you're just a collector of, I need as many dumper shirts as you got, they got about 15 of them over there. Anyways, we're going to a quick break. And when we get back, we'll finish this up. Legendary PA announcer for the Seattle Mariners, Tom Hutler.
The fan interest has been a really good place. It's at a good level, and with good reason. The club has been putting a good product on the field. Now that Victor Robles is back, this is a pretty scary lineup.
It is.
I mean, top to bottom now. There's really not a guy that a pitcher should be like, oh, I could take a break. You've got a lot of guys up and down the lineup who have A, power, B, speed, and C, can keep a rally going.
When you do look at, let's just say, Jorge Polanco, man, when he's going, I feel like he's the X factor.
He's just been lighting it up, and he's a switch hitter, and he's now able to switch hit. Early in the season, he was only hitting left-handed against right-handers, and now he's able to hit from both sides of the plate. He's showing some pop, and it was really a great move to bring him back this year after he had such a down year last year.
And he's been able to go out to second
base.
Even
play a little second base.
So, Hanno, there was something that I saw in the Seattle Times that was interesting, and it has to do with like Alaska Airlines. I don't know if you saw that. They added a flight to Detroit for this series. But apparently it's not a cheap flight. Surprise, surprise. You have not seen this?
Mm-mm.
I'll pull it up. Yeah, so apparently they've, like I said, they've made a flight available to Detroit. So I'm wondering if they just don't usually fly to Detroit. But it's, gosh, I had it up here on the screen. I'll try to find it again. Anyway, it's something that we didn't get to talk about on Sunday while I looked that up when we did the regular season ending episode. We didn't get to talk about what was going on with Root Sports. I didn't knew nothing really about any of this. And here's my entry to it. My grandma had text me and she wanted to know who died. And I didn't really understand what was going on. And then I watched the videos of the post-game wrap up with everybody crying. And now I understood the text I got from my 94-and-a-half-year-old grandma. I had to explain what was going on. So let's just talk about it real quick. So Root Sports is not gone. It's just the Mariners are not on Root Sports.
So the Mariners, I think, I don't know how to put it, owned Root Sports, and now they've got out of the television business. So Root Sports will be no more. We've seen Angie and Brad for 25 years in our living rooms, and Jen Mueller for 19. So they've been part of, decades of our lives. From what I heard is that Jen won't be coming back, but Angie will be coming back, and she'll be an employee of the Mariners, and Brad's coming back, and he's going to be an employee of MLB. MLB will be running the telecast next year. They hope to do similar to what they did this year, is have a pre and post games at home, only post games on the road. That's still being worked out. And I'm getting this information from Brad. He was on a podcast. And also, what was the other thing he said?
So wait, Brad's doing podcasts. We got to get him.
Sure. It's going to be streamed as well. But also Root Sports, the games, which he said will be televised on Root Sports channel, whichever that one was for you on your Comcast or your DirecTV, but they won't have any alternate programming. So the game will just be on, and then it will go, post game and then dark. And it'd probably be called Mariners TV, because other major league clubs have started going to this that, have their broadcasts run by MLB, like the Padres and teams like that. So, like he said, that's the information I got from him, but things are still coming out. But bittersweet for them, they knew something was going to happen, but getting the told Monday before you clinch on, what was it, Wednesday, having to be all professional, and 96% of the people aren't there anymore. The faces, Brad and Angie, I think, are about the only ones that are being retained, but all the people behind the scenes that do a great job and have been here forever, are out of a job. So it's rough, but feel sorry for the people that lost their jobs, but appreciated me personally seeing Jen and Angie and Brad for all these years, and hopefully get to continue seeing them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I watched the games abroad out of Washington. So what you're explaining to me of how they'll do that, you get the game, you might get the post show. That's it. You don't get any alternative programming. That's
correct.
Pretty much you're going to be living like how I've been living. And it's frustrating, especially when things are going good and you want to watch the post game or you want to listen to that. I have that problem too with the MLB app. Down here in Los Angeles, I'll be listening to the post show and it will cut off it'll just stop at a certain point, and you'll just be hearing like baseball ASMR, sound effects. And then you'd have to hopefully hope that the 710 app has now been back to regular programming. So if it was a quick game, you might miss the entire post game wrap up if it's within the scheduled MLB blackout box. And yeah, it does suck for all those people that have made Mariners programming great, and they do a great job on Root Sports. I'm not just saying this because I'm a homer. I watch the other broadcasts all the time, and the Mariners do a top-notch job. They've probably learned how to do a top-notch job when you don't have a great product that you're trying to sell. Now they do, but I mean, through the years and years, we got to keep people on here. We got to sell advertising. We got to do this. They have a formula to keep you entertained. That is one thing that the Mariners do, and it sucks and it's unfortunate, and especially right now. I wonder if there'd be as many tears if this happened. If it was in the other years, you'd be like, great, I'm sick of coming to work. But you got to love coming to work right now, especially if you're working for and around the Seattle Mariners. That does suck, and I feel bad for them. And it just seems like across the board, everything's changing. as
Yeah.
far as if you were to hand me a test or a quiz and ask me where to watch games and ask me other questions about next season, I would fail that test miserably. No clue. Thank God for Google that you can be like, where's my game? I did pull up that article, and it's on Seattle Times, and I'll share it with us, and then we'll do that. We'll have our final thoughts here, but it basically Alaska Airlines added a flight on Tuesday that goes to Detroit, and look at the Mariner Moose on there. Dude, this Mariner Moose is all about money, isn't he? He's just all about jacking money from you. He's always got some sort of money scheme or some giveaway. But look at this. It's the Mariners, Alaska Airlines with the Mariners Moose on the plane. Maybe that's why it's expensive. There he is. It looks like you get some sort of rally towels as well.
Or t-shirts.
Or t-shirts. Yeah. And so basically Alaska Airlines will add an extra flight from Seattle to Detroit for Mariners fans cheering on their home team in the playoffs. Quote, our spirit is something we've known for around the Puget Sound, or our spirit is something we're known for around the Puget Sound. And we want to make sure Detroit knows it too. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Let's just go down to the pricing. Oh, $840. A typical one-way direct flight to Detroit on Monday. Your likely option for fans hoping to attend the first away game. The cost is $840, according to Alaska's booking site. And the newly added flight taking off at 11 a.m. costs $299 for a ticket in the main cabin and more than $1,200 in first class. American flights with one stop in Portland cost about $500, while Delta offers 4 flights ranging from $500 to $830. And with these prices, if you have miles and think you're going to get around it, just put those miles back away. It's not worth it. So basically, Alaska Airlines like, we got an extra flight. Oh yeah, it's going to cost. It'd be $1,200. For I think that's first class, but still it's quite a pricey flight into Detroit. I wonder why Detroit is so expensive. Maybe they just don't have a lot of options from here, from Seattle to Detroit. Haven't really had much of a history too much with the Detroit Tigers. When I think about the Detroit Tigers and the Mariners, I think those Cecil Fielder days, but also the Ken Griffey Jr. making maybe one of his best catches. I mean, definitely in his top 5 at the old Tiger Stadium. I remember Randy Johnson getting his first no-hitter. I do remember their famous Hall of Fame manager, Sparky Anderson. He was Norwegian, so every time he would come to the Kingdom, they would do some sort of giving him the old lutefisk. I'm trying to think of any other Detroit connections. I know we've had a couple of trades back in the day. I know Carlos Guillen ended up there. I think would we give him Doug Fister? We got Doug Fister from them. I'm just trying to think of. There's definitely not a rivalry there.
No playoff experience against them. They had that incident too with Griffey and Sparky Anderson, with Griffey grabbing his crotch after hitting some home runs. Remember that too in the Kingdom?
Yeah, there was I'd have to look that up. I do vaguely remember something there.
Yeah, other than that, it's not a big rivalry, but they got great uniforms. I'll tell you that. I like them.
I will say this. I will say one and only positive thing about the Detroit Tigers: their road uniforms are maybe my favorite. One of my favorite uniforms of all time. Wow, this really is a thing that you're talking about. It says, "I'm pulling
I watched
this
the
up."
Mariners back in the day.
I must have been at a Sonics game. Yeah, we'll finish with this. This is fun. This is fun right here. It says from the Tampa Bay Times, published June 2nd, 1993. The American League is investigating the conduct of Seattle's Ken Griffey Jr., who cursed and gestured at Detroit manager Sparky Anderson after homering last week. Griffey had been angry about Detroit pitching him Griffey had been angry about pitching around him during the series in Seattle. Griffey hit a 3-run home run, his only hit of the 3-game series, in which the Tigers walked him 6 times in the 8th inning, Seattle's 9-5 victory. So this happened to be the incident was live on ESPN when it happened in 93. I wonder if they're going to put this into any of the programming, because this would be some good stuff. Probably not, but it's good stuff for us.
Friend of the program, Tom Hutler, remembers.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Tom. Griffey at the time was 23, knew Anderson since he was a child and his father. So maybe it was a fun gesture to Sparky Anderson, but I don't think the league appreciated it at the time. Probably not on ESPN. So if you want to read the rest of the story, go check out the Tampa Bay Times. This article seems to be free, no paywall behind it. So there's that. Well, Hannah, we've come to the part of the show where we're done. We've have not really been in this phase as a show. I mean, the last time when we first started this show, we were going into the playoffs. It was very quick. It's been a long, hard road the last couple of years doing this show, but this weekend is hopefully going to make it all worth the while as we can look back at our diary of the 2025 season. I am ready now to be on the hot seat. The stress eating will be back. The texts, the nervousness, not a lot of sleep. We've had our fun watching the other teams go through it. And I feel like as a fan, it was enjoyable to dip our toes into it. And now it's our time. What's the Mariners' motto? Seize the moment. I'm going to think of a new motto. While you think of your final thoughts here, what are the keys to this series?
Keys to the series, getting strike one over. Obviously not walks. They seem to really hurt, especially out of the relief pitchers. In any type of playoff games, you get that runner on first, nobody out, start off the inning, can, get a rally going. Obviously, I think home runs and bullpen wins you games in the playoffs. Two things I think the Mariners really strong at. I expect good starting pitching from our guys. I got the Mariners in 4 for this series.
I think that I agree with you. I think it's going to be a 4-game series. I could see the Mariners maybe taking the first 2, dropping the first game on the road just to stress us all out and being like, oh my God, this team is back. The team that we use this for.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
I'm hoping not to have to hit that button once in this series, but I think we're going to hit it once. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a 4-game series. I think in game 4, we are going to see Bryce Miller make a start. It's going to be a slash kind of bullpenny kind of game there in game 4, and we take the series. I looked at Randy Arozarena to have a big series. I also look for AJ Hinch to pitch around Cal Raleigh or put him from the right side. I'm expecting the Mariners to get guys on base in this series. That's really the key. They get guys on base, we're going to win. If we have the swing and the miss, we're in all kinds of trouble. And we've mentioned it before. If they just hit, the Mariners have enough pitching. We've seen it in this successful stretch where before the Dodgers series, they we're averaging what, somewhere around 7 runs and only giving up 3 runs. So if they can stay, let's just shrink it one way or the other, say maybe they give up 4 and they can only score 6. I feel like they're in a good place of what they've been doing right now. And again, the only thing that makes me nervous is that anybody you talk to now, there's nobody in your face talking shit. I'm down here in LA. I'm around fans outside of the Mariners vacuum, and everybody's go, I think you guys are going to go the whole way. I hope you guys go the whole way. Oh, you guys are the team to beat. And I think that's the only thing that I'm scared of. And I hope that this team can really answer that hype, because it's there. We've talked about this team. They're built for the playoffs. They've missed the playoffs how many years in this window? And by one and being like, well, we're built now and now you're there. And you have enough depth at pitching that a Bryan Woo injury right now is not catastrophic. Is it ideal? No, I don't like it. But if you were to go back to the beginning of the year and you're like, you're going to be in the playoffs and your 3 pitchers are going to be Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, and George Kirby, I would have went, well, things just went as planned. Bryan Woo took advantage of the situation he was given to carry this team with the injuries and whatnot. But I have all the confidence in the world in The Rock. And I also feel like we're going to get Angry George, and we got Walter back right now. We got all 3 of those pitchers in the right spot at the right time. And the bullpen in the last month or so has been great. And this is the best we've ever seen them hit, since the glory days. So yeah, you have home field advantage in the first round. If you start to get a big lead in this series, of course, you probably want maybe the Yankees, so you get home field advantage. I don't know. We'll discuss that on the next episode. Our next episode is going to be coming out more than likely after game 2, hopefully that night. I'm coming up to Seattle. Don't know exactly where the watch and location area is going to be right now, but we'll figure this out, and we'll get this done for you guys. But it's been fun doing this year, and hopefully we have a lot more of these podcasts to do, even though they're a pain in the ass to get together and do sometime. Right now, I'm happy to do them.
Yeah, it's a good time. I appreciate everybody checking in, listening, watching, enjoying. It has been a great year, and you just made me think about when you were talking about the Mariners hitters. Absolutely exciting. Not a lineup that's so deep, and every guy that comes to the plate, no matter if it's Dom Canzone at DH down in the order, or nice to see Jake P. Crawford down there where he belongs. There's always a challenge, especially up at the top, but even all the way through 1 through 9. This is a lineup that pitchers can't take a batter off. So this is what we've wanted. This is what enjoy it. That's what I'll say. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
it doesn't come around enough, so enjoy it.
We don't want to see you doing this if things start going bad. No jumping off the ship. We got the AI art that was sent to us during the Tampa
Losing
Bay series.
streak.
I think early one. Yeah, look at this one. They're all jumping off. They're all jumping off the ship. But look over here. We got some hipsters in Ballard coming back to the ship right now. Also, if anybody knows these guys from spring training, I'd love to get their comment. These are the guys that walked around spring training, the entire spring training, one owner away from the playoffs. Would love to get their thoughts. If you guys remember those guys with the sign, I didn't realize I still had that here. And just to prove that I was there I am circled, right? See with the little arrows at spring training. Anyways, I think this says it all right there. Let's effing go. Again, thanks for liking, subscribing, and all of that good shit. And we'll be back to talk, hopefully some victorious baseball, and we can start maybe looking over at the other series. We're down to the Elite 8, the Final 4 of the American League. And with that said, Hanno, you know what time it is. Charge!